I would like to welcome Dr. K.K. Gupta sir. My heartiest welcome to Dr. K.K. Gupta sir, Principal, Agrawal PG College, Vallabhgarh. Dr. K.K. Gupta academic qualification is MSc, MPhil, PhD, gold medalist, professional achievements. Member Academic Council Board, Sports Board, MD University Rohtak. Member Admission Committee, YRC and Youth Welfare Committee, MD University Rohtak. Member Committee for Curriculum Reforms and Implementation of Choice-Based Credit System at UG PG level, MD University Rohtak. Member Academic Council and Executive Council, YMCA University of Science and Technology, Faridabad. Member Grievance Redressal Committee for Technical University, YMCA University of Science and Technology, Faridabad. EC member, Indian Society of Analytical Scientists, Delhi chapter. National Assessment and Accreditation Council Assessor. Member Advisor Board, Patron and President, Nuclear Tract Society of India. Chairman, Subcommittee to review and finalize the criteria for the Sir Jean Henry Donant Trophy, YRC, MD, University Rohtak. Member Committee for Introduction of Compulsory Subject of Disaster Management, Moral Value, Education and Environmental Study, MD, University Rohtak. Member Advisory Committee, Introduction of Outreach Program, MD, University Rohtak. Member as VC nominee, Sports Board and Sport Council, MD, University Rohtak. VC nominee, Governing Body, LIMT, Faridabad. Member Committee of Amendments in Rules for Evaluation and Re-evaluation, MD, University Rohtak. Member Committee for Appointment of Teaching Staff for Examination Duties, MD, University Rohtak. Member Regional Advisory Committee, Ministry of Labour and Employment, Government of India. Member Advisory Committee and District Governor, Youth Red Cross, MD, University Rohtak. Director sir, please proceed.
Very good evening. When I started my teaching career from Faridabad, so you are very near to my place, and I am interacting with your institutions quite often on various occasions. And this time it's very hearty to know that we have been again interacting with one another. Sir, Technical Institute of Advanced Studies is one of the premier institute set up under the aegis of Health and Education Society, and is NAAC accredited A-grade institute of AICT, Ministry of HRD, Government of India, and affiliated to IP University, and recognized under Section 2F of UGC Act 1956. And it's been established in the country, capital in the year 1998, as an educational and professional center with an aim to provide technical knowledge required for the career development of the young generation by way of providing the quality education. The Technical Institute of Advanced Studies is ISO 9001:2015 certified, 14001 2015 certified for the quality management systems and environmental management system, and it's imparting education in the field of MBA, BBA, BJMC, Journalism, Mass Communication, and BCA program. Sir, this faculty development program has been taken up under the aegis of our Institute Innovation Council, which has been set up under the Ministry of HRD, recognizing for a Technia Incubator, EDC, with the motto as a crucible of Eureka. Here, the Entrepreneur Development Cell is unleashing various ideas which can be ultimately set up in a prototype, then set up as an startups. And of late, 25 to 30 ideas was put forwarded to the Ministry of HRD IIC site by the students of the MBA, MCA, BCA, BBA students, and some of the in the stage of a prototype also, sir. Sir, I feel it. This NAAC accreditation, the FDP program, which are doing for the last 7 days, the 7th day today, we have gone through all the various indicators of criteria which is put forwarded by in the NAC 2020. Here, the assessment part, where as far as the affiliated UG and PG colleges are concerned, from criteria 1 to criteria 7, we have gone through various aspects. So I have been told that you are the stalwart who can be able to bridge the gap, if any, as far as all the 1 to 7 criteria are coming, which is required. Any faculty member wish to ask any query, those are is been specifically been asked to work on with the last part of the criteria 7. Here, sir will be making the things uh, crystal clear as far as institutional values and the best practice are concerned. But in case you feel it that certain previous criteria is also been required certain kind of elaboration, so Professor KK Gupta is the most suitable person who can be able to throw light on any criteria of the NAC accreditation council which has been put forward by the, and anybody who has missed the bus for some query which has been required to clear the dust as far as the academic wisdom is concerned, please make sure you can ask sir and make this opportunity best for utilize. Sir, I am pleased that you have accepted our invitation and you have made us over here, and you are yet another star in our star-studded panel of the expert who is going to unleash their strategy, wisdom, so that the faculty members may be able to understand it more thoroughly and come out with flying colors as far as the adaptation of this NAC 2020 volume is concerned. Thank you, sir. Stage is yours. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ajay and Dr. Rashmi, for such kind words for me and for my institution. And congratulations to you for heading such a prestigious institution in Delhi. I am very glad to be part of this faculty development program. And let me assure all the participants that though I have come at last, but not the least. Out of the 7 criteria which NAC has prescribed for assessment and accreditation, the 7th criteria is the backbone of all the earlier 6 criteria. Because in this criterion, in the end, NAC asks you to tell 2 best practices of your institution and uniqueness of your institution. Best practices can be anywhere, at any place. But the problem with we people is that we try to copy the best practices of others. We try to copy the life of others, though the question paper in the life of individual is different. So what best practices do we initiate? That depends on the type of the institution and several other factors which I will be discussing in details with you. And I will try to justify my presence in this faculty development program, in which the professors, the associate professors and teachers from various institutions in NCR and even Pan-India, they have joined to enrich their skills. So I would like to share my PPT. As I was directed by Dr. Rashmi that you have to speak on criterion 7 of NAC revised accreditation framework. That criterion pertains to institutional values and best practices. Before I go to this criterion, let me talk to you in brief about the present education system and its outcomes. Though the new national education policy has been announced and we are expecting quite a good outcome if it is implemented in letter and spirit, but yet at present, the present education system is a factory model of education. In a factory, the raw material comes, it is subjected to a standard process and a product comes out. And product is expected to behave as it is prepared for. But humans are humans. Humans can never be taken as a raw material, but in our present education system, this is what is happening with the students who are joining our higher educational institutions. And when they pass their graduation or post-graduation and they come out with a piece of paper in the form of degree, For a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. You see this caricature, elephant is there, monkey is there, fox is there. And if you ask a fish to climb a tree, then it will remain stupid throughout its life. Because the students which we get in our institutions, they have different learning levels. And if they are subjected to the same learning process, then the desired outcomes are having a big question mark. This is the present situation in our country. If a teacher asks, put up a board that I will teach you concepts of physics, no one is there in front of his gate. And a teacher claims that I will teach you how to get 90% in physics, there is a big crowd. This is a real situation in our country. This is a real situation of study in our country. The teachers are enjoying, the university is enjoying, and the whole burden is on the student. All is not well with our higher education. When a child joins a school, he is quite happy. It's a shape of a concave mirror like. And as he grows up, and finally when he graduates from a college or university, concave changes to convex, a lot of tension and anxiety. Now I come to the various criteria of NAAC. NAAC assessment and accreditation relies on the evaluation of, just to refresh your memories for the last 6 days, curriculum aspects, teaching, learning and evaluation, research, innovations and extension, infrastructure and learning resources, student support and progression, governance, leadership and management. And the last criteria is institutional values and best practices. Friends, in this criteria, there are 3 key indicators and the total weightage is 100 out of 1000. And the indicators are institutional values and social responsibilities, best practices and institutional distinctiveness. And in this entire criteria, there are 7 qualitative metrics and 6 quantitative metrics. As regards best practices, if I have to explain it in brief, then I have written here identify, imbibe and install. You have to identify the best practices, you have to imbibe them and then you have to install them. And the best thing is that internalize and institutionalize the best practices. Institutional values and best practices, there are, in the first key indicator, institutional values and social responsibilities, there are 5 qualitative metrics and 6 quantitative metrics. And the questions are related to gender equity, environmental consciousness, sustainability, inclusion and situatedness, human values and professional ethics. In best practices, only 1 qualitative matrix, and they ask you to describe 2 best practices successfully implemented in your institution as per NAAC format I will show you in the next slide. And again, in institutional distinctiveness, there is 1 qualitative matrix. These are the various questions and according their weightages, I will be discussing in details. Just have a look. Measures initiated by the institution for the promotion of gender equity. The institution has facilities for alternate sources of energy. Facilities in the institution for the management of following types of degradable and non-degradable waste. Water conservation, green campus initiatives, quality audits on environment, energy, disabled friendly, barrier-free environment, and the institutional efforts initiative in providing an inclusive environment. Sensitization of students and employees. The institution has a prescribed code of conduct for students, teachers, and administrators. Institution celebrates, organizes national and international commemorative days, events, and festivals. And this is the second indicator, 2 best practices. And this is the format how you have to write your best practices: title, objective, context, practice, evidence of success, problems encountered and sources required. And last is the notes, which is optional. If you want to write, you can, otherwise you can skip. And the third key indicator is portray the performance of the institution in one area distinctive to its priority and thrust within 1000 words. And every institution would like to be recognized for certain of its attributes which make it distinct or one of its kind. Such attributes characterize the institution and are reflected in all its activities in focus and practices. So this in brief, I discussed with you all the key indicators, the qualitative metrics and quantitative metrics and their corresponding weightages. And as I told you, the total weightage is 50. Friends, what are best practices? So the practices, they are the methods or technique evolved internally or externally by the institution leading to improvements in any one or more aspects of its functioning. In an institution, there are academic functioning, administrative functioning, and organization as a whole functioning. These are recognized as best practices and they add commendable value to it and its various stakeholders. Best practices can be acquired through internal knowledge management and they can be acquired through external support. But you cannot force the best practices in an institution. A practice requires widespread acceptance by groups, social systems, and also by individuals. Only then can it become successful to be put into practice by the organization. Implementing best practices is copying yesterday, and innovation is inventing tomorrow. In this VUCA world, you must be thinking, what is this VUCA? VUCA is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. The things are changing so fast. So in this VUCA world, don't build to last, but build to adapt and adapt to change so that you can make a pace with the changing time. The criteria, how to define best practices. There are some universal criteria like excellence, value or values, goal orientation, and process building. And there are some contextual criteria, utility, access, relevance, service to stakeholders, preservation and promotion of heritage, and performability. Identification and application of best practices. The input factor, as I told you, that every institution cannot have the same best practices. The input factors, the process factors, and output factors should be taken into account. The criteria of 3 E's, economy, efficiency, and effectiveness may also be used. Dynamic and revisited, improvised periodically. Recognize diversity and cultural and historical context. Does not lead to dominance of one specific view of approach. One has to be very careful while implementing a best practices. It should not dominate one specific view. And it promotes quality of performance, overall excellence, and holistic development of all stakeholders. Best practices. As I told you, best practices can be anywhere. Best practices can be in any criterion. So I have listed some of the points where best practices can be there. When we say good best practice, it has no meaning because best is best and it is unique. Curriculum planning and delivery aspects, admission process, students assessment, diagnostic, formative and summative, teaching, learning and assessment, evaluation, students and other stakeholders feedback, outcome-based learning, library and information services, student support and progression, extension activities, community outreach and engagement, administration and management, regulations, self-disclosure and minimum human interface, governance, IQAC, explicit concern for human values and professional ethics, inclusiveness, gender equity, social responsibilities, etc., facilities for the differently abled Divyangjan, environmental consciousness, carbon neutral green practices, energy conservation, rainwater harvesting, waste cycling, solid, liquid, and e-waste, and whatnot. There can be best practices in each of this, and we will be discussing it in the further. What are the expectations from managements or promoters? Because unless the management is proactive and they give a free hand and financial and academic autonomy to the director or principal, then you cannot think of executing all these things. So these are the expectations from management or promoters, like there has to be an ecosystem. When we used to be students in school, there were 2 pillars on the main gate, and on one pillar it was written that come to learn, and on another pillar it was written go to serve. So today we understand this thing, that the basic purpose of education is कि आप सीखने के लिए आइए और सेवा के लिए जाइए. This means the holistic development of students in your institution. State of the art physical and learning infrastructure, management of human resource, change management. The time is changing so fast, so we have to have all kind of facilities to manage this change. Management should appoint motivated, experienced and skillful individuals, and the main thing is that their retention also. Skilling, reskilling and upskilling of the faculty and support staff, promotion of research, incentives and welfare schemes for students and staff, good leadership and governance, academic, administrative and financial autonomy, integration of vocational, teacher and professional education, institution industry integration, strong monitoring mechanism and impact analysis. So these are the expectations from the management and promoters. Higher educational institutions must be relevant in changing national and global contexts and respond to the emerging challenges and pressing issues such as gender equity, human values and professional ethics, value-based skill education, employment, sustainability, inclusiveness, etc., and evolve and internalize practices to address uniquely. Institutional excellence. In an institution where there is a trinity of superlatives, the students, the faculty and infrastructure cohabit in an environment which is congenial and conducive for curriculum delivery, teaching, learning and evaluation, automatically there will be excellence in an institution. And institutional distinctness comes from, we have to keep in our mind that the students who are coming to our institution, we have to educate them, we have to enlighten them, we have to empower them, and there has to be equity and inclusiveness in your institution. A slide from my own college, our journey to quality upgradation and excellence, attaining A++, the only college in country, affiliated college in the country who got A++ under revised accreditation framework in third cycle. First cycle we got B+. In 2009 I joined this college as a principal. 2014 we went for second cycle, we got A grade 3.40, and after 5 years we went for third cycle, and I'm happy to share with you that we got A++ with CGPA 3.57. These are some of the core values which are expected of a higher education institutions: ethics and dignity, excellence, quality, integrity, student service, collaboration and public engagement, and diversity. Excellence reflects in an institution which is very important, a learning institution, not a teaching institution, a thinking institution for quality, a responding institution for cross-cutting issues, gender, equity, human values and all, people-friendly institution including marginalized communities and different genders, a participating institution, inclusive policy, a protecting institution, ethics and values of this great country, a techno-savvy institution having plagiarism software for testing and other means. Institutional excellence in higher education institution is the aggregate of the best practices followed in different areas of institutional performance, organizing and showcasing need-based activities which are distinctive in nature can get better credentials and more visibility. This is very important for institutional excellence, charter of graduate attributes. It is a two-way that we should clearly know what we expect our students to learn, and the students should also know that we are joining this institution in this particular program, what we are going to learn. So there has to be personal attributes, intellectual attributes, professional attributes, and social and cultural attributes. So these charter of graduate attributes should be clearly defined and displayed at various places in the institution, as well as the website of the institution also. And these are various attributes which are expected of our students. And to achieve this, we have to organize number of activities in the college and outside, prepare the annual activity calendar in advance, and upload on the college website for the information of all stakeholders. Website is very important because this is, in the modern age, it's a mirror of the college and easiest method of dissemination of college information. Reduce administrative load. If your website is dynamic and everything is put up on the website, then your tension, your anxiety and your stress is reduced, because once a document is put on your website, it is a permanent record and you need not to rush from pillar to post to procure that document. It has to be good design and easy navigation, and separate page for RTI, IQAC and NEC data. Apart from this, to highlight your college, you can have your YouTube channels, college portals, other Twitter, Facebook and other things. Education and excellence through quality initiatives and best practices. Friends, education is all inclusive because everybody is talking about equity and inclusiveness, but excellence is always exclusive. It means holistic development of students, represent and promote the educational, social, economic and cultural interest of students, besides constitutional responsibilities. This is very, very important, because wherever there is a right, there is a duty. So we have to tell our students about their constitutional responsibilities also. Making them self-reliant, preparing them to complete globally, means they have to think globally and act locally. Feeling of patriotism, nationalism and secularism, and they should contribute to social development and national development. What is quality? Everybody talks of quality. Quality system improvement. It is not a one-shot affair. It is not a destination, rather an unending journey, slow and steady. And friends, quality is not an act, it is a habit. Quality is a matter of choice, quality is a matter of conviction, and quality is a certitude. What education is? It is the process by which people acquire knowledge, skills, habits, values, or positive attitude. Swami Vivekananda rightly explained education as by which the intellect is expanded, character is formed, strength of mind is increased, and it enables one to stand on one's own feet. Academic leaders, we have to think that is the present education system is able to impart all these qualities among our students. If no, then we have to ponder over and we have to make out certain things and we have to take certain initiatives so that our institution can impart all these qualities in our students. Education, it is collection, assimilation, and dissemination of knowledge. Teaching, learning, evaluation, and assessment. Friends, I have put 2 arrow marks between teaching and learning because there is a lot of confusion. Okay, what is teaching and what is learning? Is learning first and teaching afterwards, or teaching first and learning afterwards? What I personally feel is that first, what a teacher does, he collects certain information from the various sources or resources available either in the physical form or through internet. This is simply getting the information, but this is not enough. You have to assimilate the information which is collected from various sources. And when you assimilate that information, that is called knowledge. And when you transfer that knowledge to the students, that is called teaching. So first you have to learn, you have to collect information, you have to assimilate, and then you have to teach. And once the education is imparted to a student, then a student should be armed with knowledge, science, technology, innovation, and of course, love for nation. Quality and excellence is an issue of concern and paramount importance for higher education institutions. Why? Friends, the landscape of higher education has been transitory and need to be continuously updated to meet the changing educational goals. To move forward in this eternal journey of quality higher education, we must understand that all steps, measures adopted should ensure value-based skill education with human touch so that a decent society can be bequeathed to the coming generation. The student body has considerably expanded and diversified, both socially and geographically. New students call for new teaching methods. Modern technologies have entered the classroom, thus modifying the nature of the interactions between students and professors. It is not unidirectional flow. The government, the students and their families, the employers, the fund providers increasingly demand value for their money and desire more efficiency through teaching. What are the expectations from higher education institutions? Education should have trust with excellence. Though the basic infrastructure is the fundamental need, but academic institutions are not made by bricks, stones, and mortars. Rather, by academia and students created connected learner experience throughout students' life cycle. Capable, committed, competent disciplines and dedicated teachers with strong determination and specified direction with an acumen of innovation and acquisition. Their retention, development, skilling, reskilling and upskilling, and capacity building. Friends, the things are changing so fast. When we talk of upskilling, I remind of the thirsty crow story. कौवा था, वो आया तो घड़े में पानी कम था तो उसने उसमें पेबल्स डाले, पानी ऊपर आया और वो पी करके उड़ गया. And it took a lot of time because he had to pick up every pebble and put it in the pitcher. But now the time has changed. He will simply take a straw, will put it in the pitcher and will drink the water and fly away. This is upskilling. Teacher and students with a habit to learn, unlearn and relearn. Cross interdisciplinary interactions should be increased with a view to enrich the pedagogy of teachers. Blended mode of teaching. If information communication teaching, ICT blended with Indian customs and traditions, I always say ICT blended with ICT. Information communication technology blended with Indian customs and traditionals is used, it will be more informative. Strong institution industry integration. People say institution industry interface. Friends, interface will not work, integration will work, wherein the industry peoples are involved for on-site interactions. And we have to ensure that the knowledge does not remain limited to the books. It should be transferred from books to the minds of young generations and not to their class notes. Research should travel from labs to fields so that a common man can take advantage of that. These are the expectations from higher education institutions. And if you are able to sustain and if you are able to implement 2-3 of them, then they can become your best practices. More stress on soft skills, 70%, presentation, communication, life skills, etc., rather than on domain knowledge, technical competence, and subject knowledge, only 30%. But what is happening in our present system? I showed you a slide. There is a crowd where teacher claims that I will get you 90% and more. But this will not work in the long life unless you have the soft skills. And they should instill strong character, integrity, nationalism and all, physically, mentally, economically, spiritually, emotionally, socially, morally, educationally sound. Focus students with innovation, entrepreneurship, inquisition, innovation, entrepreneurship, value-based, market-oriented education so that the required skill is developed among the learners. And your institutions should work like a finishing school, where the students who are passing out their graduation or post-graduation, they are market ready. Quality and best practices lead to institutional excellence, and it should be the vision of every higher educational institution. In the age of globalization, liberalization, privatization, and industrialization, where the economy is knowledge driven and skill is currency, quality of excellence, which includes teaching, learning, assessment, and evaluation, and final output, has become the defining element of education in the 21st century. Now there is a transition, education for all to quality education for all. For quality assurance, sustenance, and enhancement, a good mix of policy, strategy, roadmap, and resources is required. Friends, perfection is not attainable, but if we change perfection, we can reach excellence, and that is possible by way of holistic approach. If you want to promote quality and self-reliance, then there are 5 I, which are the key components. You have to have an intent, inclusion, investment, infrastructure, how an institution becomes unique and distinct. Institutional excellence in higher education is the aggregate of the best practices followed in different areas of institutional performance. Best practices 4I and D model. The successful application of the best practices approach depends on our ability to adopt the following 5-stage strategy: identification of best practices, implementation of best practices, institutionalization of best practices, internalization of best practices, and dissemination of best practices. This is 4I and D model. Quality assurance at the level of our institution, 9 M factors: men, material, machines, management, methods, measurements, motivation, money, and markets. These are the 9 M factors for quality assurance at the institutional level. 8 are promoted in our institution. I am talking about every institution can promote: right qualification framework, right infrastructure, right faculty, right learning resources, right delivery mechanism, right encouragement for research and consultancy, right programs for institution specific staff development, and right mechanism for quality, internal quality assurance. 3 C's for faculty: capable, committed, competent teachers. 3 C's for quality: choice, conviction, and certitude. And 3 E's for students: educating, enlightening, and empowering. Education, it should be available, accessible, affordable, with inclusiveness and equity. And quality. Quality is defined by these parameters, which I have mentioned here. And friend, this is a chain. And as you all know, the strength of a chain is the strength of its weakest link. So all these parameters, all these components, they have to be equally strong so that quality is ascertained, quality is assured, quality is enhanced in a particular higher educational institution. Quality initiatives and best practices, identification and implementation. For identification and implementation, you have to have vision, mission statement, SWOT analysis of your institution, think, conceive, assess, identify, discuss, and implement. Identification in tune with the vision and mission, due discussion and debate among various stakeholders, faculty, students, support staff, alumni, parents, employers, and collective and collegiate decision. We should allow our staff to discuss and debate And whenever we take any decision, maybe this is for the vision and mission, or this is for the implementation of any best practices, then there has to be thorough discussion on this, and decisions has to be collective and collegial. Faculty students orientation and their interface, overall preparedness, outcome based, meeting the challenges, ecosystem, internalize and institutionalize slowly and gradually but steadily, absence of complacency, strict monitoring and its impact analysis. Now the question is, where from and how to start? Friends, great things are done by a series of small things brought together. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, an extra mile each year, at least one reform. Progress can be slow and gradual. Continue putting in efforts with patience and enthusiasm. Continuity, consistent persistence, innovation and perseverance make impossible things possible. आप भी बताते हैं कि a continuously flowing water can cut the stones. A continuously dripping drop of water can make hole in a stone. This is only due to this continuity, consistency and persistence. Collective efforts and acknowledging the small contributions, not to be distracted by conflicts or hurdles, recognizing the possibilities and potentials in students. What's the job of a teacher? Job of a teacher is to convert possibility into possible. संभावना को संभव बनाना है. Here I would like to share you one story. एक टीचर ने क्लास में पूछा कि out of silver and iron, which one is more precious metal? A student raised his hand and said that, sir, it is the iron which is more precious. The teacher was surprised. He asked the student, can you justify your answer? The student very nicely replied कि सर यदि इस आयरन को पारस मणि का संपर्क और संसर्ग मिल जाए और वो उसको टच कर दे तो वो सोना बन सकता है जो कि सिल्वर से बहुत महंगा होता है. What the teachers are? Teachers are that paras mani, and there are a lot of possibilities in our students. We should never say that there is nothing in this student, because every child, I personally believe, that is a bright child. We as a teachers have to identify his potential and we have to make it possible. Where from and how to start? Planning and preparation. Everything starts with an event in an institution, but when this event is organized continuously and periodically, it becomes a practice. And when this practice becomes result oriented, fulfills our objectives, fulfills your goals, then it becomes your best practices. And to do this, you have to have a collective and collegial decision. There has to be a feeling of togetherness, coming together, keeping together and working together. Sense of belongingness, sense of responsibility and sense of austerity, continuous, consistent and persistent efforts, and they ultimately lead to development and excellence. Now I will be talking about some of the best practices in all the criteria which we can have. Some my earlier speakers must have told you. Curriculum aspects. The curriculum has, let me tell you, there is a marked difference between syllabus and curriculum. Usually when I go for NEC inspection or NEC peer team visits, the colleges generally write curriculum delivery, this is not in our hands because curriculum is designed by the university and ours is an affiliated college. But this is a 100% wrong statement, because curriculum is different, course is different. The syllabus is prescribed by the university, but curriculum is the overall preparedness of an institution to deliver that curriculum. And that is 100% is in the hands of the higher educational institution. So try to do it regional, contemporary and futuristic curriculum with flexibility and enrichment. Though the university prescribes certain syllabus, but flexibility and enrichment is in your hand. Good quality content, static to dynamic content. I will explain this. E-content, teachers orientation, not training. Because unless your mind is oriented to a certain process, then training will not work. First is the orientation and then is the training. Addressing the cross-cutting issues, feedback for continuous improvement, pedagogy to andragogy. This I will tell you what is this andragogy. Outcome-based effective curriculum delivery. For this, a teacher has to identify the content, curate the content and customize the content. And he has to integrate it with conventional mode using ICT. Outcome-based effective curriculum delivery. We have to change the static content into the dynamic content in the form of PPTs, videos, and visuals, followed by simulations, animations, and question answer and assignments. And being a teacher, it has to be very, very important. How do you prepare your PPTs? You see an advertisement in a TV, within 30 seconds, they convey what they want to convey. And you see a movie and it takes 3 hours and sometimes nothing is conveyed. So you have to be very, very meticulous. You have to be very, very technical while preparing your PPTs, that maximum is transmitted to the student in minimum time. Friends, pedagogy to andragogy. Pedagogy was in earlier times. Now we have to think about the andragogy, where the teaching technology is learner centered, because the learner is now awakened. He gets the information from various sources. Sometimes I have found that student knows much more than the teacher. So you cannot have the content centered technology now, methodology, but it has to be learner centered. Curriculum delivery, these are the basic things which every speaker will tell you: structured work plan, timetable, teacher diaries, group discussions, role plays, this and this. But I will tell you something different. In criterion 1, what you can have as best practices: collaboration with institutions of quality, some competence enhancing curricular strategies, full-time, part-time technical courses, curricular aspects that promote value addition, modular courses, value addition by course diversification, choice of quasi-professional, professional courses, interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary courses, value addition to contextual criteria, modern gazettery, credit-based honors programs, enablement of disadvantages and slow learners, holistic traditional discipline through corporate living, and all these are some of the best practices apart from the routine best practices implement in your institution to achieve excellence. Teaching, learning, and evaluation. What best practices can we have? Critical and crucial academic activity of any educational institution require meticulous planning and responsible execution, chiefly through teamwork and coordination. Where any one of these receives inadequate attention, the other two may fall away, bringing the whole educational efforts to little or no value. Every link has to be equally strong. These are some of the best practices which you can have: transparency in admissions, conducts post-entrance diagnostic tests to assess the aptitude, evolve a class guide and mentor system, maintaining a teacher diaries, simulated teaching and micro-level teaching, centralized media facility, language lab, commerce lab, and math lab for mathematics students, self-learning through books and journals, teaching learning processes such as e-group and phone groups, preparation of the enrichment program, formation of peer study groups, field trips, educational trips, test assignments, feedback system, etc. This is a very important slide, friends. Teaching, learning, and evaluation. It is a 16-point slide, 4 quadrants. There are 4 pillars of education institution: parents, students, teachers, and government. And there is 4 types of education: physical, mental, intellectual, spiritual development. There are 4 sources of knowledge acquisition. Earlier, we used to believe that 100% whatever teacher is teaching is enough. But now the time is changed. You learn 25% from the teacher. You learn 25% from your own wisdom, and 25% from your fellow colleagues during interactions, and 25% comes from the experiential learning. And there are 4 stages of education: teaching and learning, information and theory gathering, which we get from various resources, and unless we assimilate it, we cannot have deep awareness of the subject. And then we have to conduct it, and then we have to propagate it. And someone has rightly said that an ounce of intensive reading is better than a ton of extensive reading. Genius is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. Teacher has to read, teacher has to write, teacher has to reflect, reading, writing, and thinking. And he has to bring it into his conduct, and finally he has to propagate. Process of curriculum transaction. As a teacher, are we thinking of a learner who asks, if I cannot learn the way you teach me, then can you teach me the way I can learn? We will have to think on this. And Confucius rightly said that I hear and I forget, I see and I believe, I do and I understand. Learning by doing, learning by involving. The whole country nowadays is on I see and I believe, the webinars and all this use of ICT in this, their seeing and believing and doing and understanding is there. Friends, teacher is a leader who knows the way, goes the way and shows the way, and vision becomes reality when true leader takes the charge. How I would use this? Being a great professor is an art and a science, and take 15 minutes a day to stay current. Very important for teachers. Try out one new method in your classroom, ask students for feedback, modify the method and try it again, monitor for successful student improvements. Teacher has to be democratic, not autocratic. And teacher have some positive characteristics like these. And teacher has to identify the student. I have seen a picture here, useless delivery, improper delivery and proper delivery. If a teacher is able to identify the caliber of the student, the learning level of the student, the nature of the student, then he can transfer the knowledge to the student. Continuous internal evaluation, a very good practice. Domain knowledge, soft skills and life skills. Domain knowledge through assignments, projects and class tests. Soft skills through extracurricular activities, and life skills through extension activities. This is a very good example which teachers are supposed to do: diagnostic assessment, formative assessment and summative assessment. Even a cook, he inspects the ingredients before starting preparing the soup. It is diagnostic. When taste the soup, it is formative, and when the guest tastes it, it is summative. Teaching is like fishing. You use different lures for different fish. You use different methods for different learners. And a teacher who teaches with a technique and human touch, he gets success. And teacher has to deliver, transmit, well prepared, no communication barriers. He has to be very clear, accurate, brief and specific. And the student has to have observance, retention, reception and sensitivity. And the goal is achieved. Friends, teaching is not a profession because it leads to the materialism. Teaching is basically a passion with faith, values, concern, emotion and respect. Let us switch over from Bloom's taxonomy to Guru taxonomy. If we claim to be a teacher, we only acquire information, assimilate it, we acquire knowledge, and we impart skill. Pandit gives information, knowledge, skill, and insights. Drishta gives information, knowledge, skill, insights, and vision. And a real Guru, it gives awakening also. And great focus on output, direct course outcome, program outcome, and learning outcomes. Indirect, where a graduate has gone, where we were, where we are going, where we might be going. We have to always keep this thing in our minds. Research, consultancy and extension. The best practices in research, consultancy and extension are the outcome of harmonious interplay of a number of factors like innovative mind of brilliant teachers and researchers, modern infrastructure facilities, encouragement and motivation. The strong research background of the faculties enrich the teaching learning process. Establishing good infrastructure for labs, grant of funds for research projects and centers. If there are no grants from outside, then the institution can fund for the research. Launching special awards for best papers and various other incentives. Then developing research competencies, audit education services, center for social action, under which you can carry out community reach out programs, giving best to the least, each one teach one, healthcare camps, and all other initiatives. The college believes in the philosophy of think, innovate, act, and contribute. These are some of the reports from my own college. There is a research advisory committee. We have various minor and major research projects. We give incentives to the teachers in the form of duty leave, then registration fees, TAD and everything, and some incentives also. We could have 2 patents during the last 5 years. Then college has several MOUs and linkages. Here I would like to say one thing, that if you enter into an MOU, then it has to be on stamp paper. And if you have to going for a linkage, it can be on the letterhead. Please be careful by entering into MOUs and linkages. And they have to be very, very functional, means continuously, periodically some activities should take place. Schemes out of these practices, our faculty members in the last 5 years could publish 832 papers in seminars and conferences and 358 papers in journals. And they wrote 139 books. And we incubate our students. This is for facilities which are available in our college. We have language lab, retail lab, computer hardware maintenance lab, commerce lab, math lab, research labs, media center and recording facility. And out of these, the students designed various types of apps and all that. Human resource development, we organized several national and international conferences, and we organized 33 conferences in the last 5 years. Extension activities, how to carry out the extension activities, this is very important, and this is done through various health societies forums like Youth Red Cross, NCC, NSS, Women's Cell, Science Forum, Social Science Forum, and all others. And it's better that the college should adopt a village in the nearby region where they can carry out all these outreach activities, reaching the unreached. And the college can brought laurels for their students, and the students can bring laurels for their institution. We collected 2,675 units of blood in the 5 years by organizing blood donation camp in our institution. And this is a number of awards given to our faculty and institution. Some data from my own institute. The impact on the community is the women empowerment, computer literacy. If you open some computer learning center in the adopted village, by putting 2-3 basic computers, then the villagers of the village or the youth, they can have some computer literacy, upliftment of underprivileged society. Impacts on the students, holistic development, learning social responsibility, time management, decision-making capacity, teamwork, and social responsibility. This is a sad event. In Pulwama incidents, one of the defense soldier, he was from a nearby village near Ballabgarh, and our institution, they gave rupees 5 lakh to the family of the martyr. Other donations are also, the students, they collect the money and they give. And there is one practice in our institution that we have put a box in the name of Shahid Rahat Kosh, in which all the students and employee of the institution and even the guests who visit our institution, they put some money in that course. And annual basis, we open that box, and we have opened an account where we deposit all this money, and it is given to the family of martyr, if any. Criterion 4, infrastructure and learning resources. Quality is the cumulative product of both human and material resources in an educational institution, while the holistic development of the learner depend on the intellectual capital. To a large extent, the effective functioning of such capital requires, among other things, an enabling infrastructure that can allow it to be productive. The infrastructure one thinks of is not just space and premises, although they are indispensable. It is the sum total of utility of space, structure, equipment, learning resources, infrastructural aids, information stock, and knowledge sharing devices. These are some of the best practices which an institution can have in this: campus layout, campus versus premises, campus maintenance, optimum use of the campus facilities, classrooms and labs, library facilities in the library, departmental libraries, equipment maintenance and all, student counseling, involvement of alumni in student development, social bonding, networking of support services, remedial coaching, placement cell, financial support. In our college, we have these facilities for the student: cash prize 5,100 and scholarships to the students who excel in academics and sports, free concession to girl students, pure gold medal, 10-gram pure gold medal to the toppers of arts, commerce and science. And let me share with you that all these 3 gold medals are instituted by our alumni. 10,000 cash prize to student getting maximum marks in English. These types of small practices, they can bring excellence to your institution. Criterion 6, governance, leadership and management. The organization should promote an environment which can facilitate academic and administrative functions. The primary focus should be on the creation of an environment for learning, which can in turn facilitate the overall development of students in the cognitive, physical and ethical dimensions. These are some of the themes. You have to have alumni. If it is registered, it's fine. And you should invite your alumni to get benefit either in the form of financial assistance or exposing your students to various trends. These are the various welfare schemes which we have in our institution for the welfare of the teaching and non-teaching staff. It does not cost much, but it is there. We got huge grants from UGC and other agencies. 4 crore 18 lakhs 27,182 and scholarships from various agencies. There are 2 questions about scholarships in the NAAC assessment and accreditation criteria. I personally feel that there has to be one dedicated teacher who is given this responsibility of scholarships, because there are various types of scholarships which are announced by various private agencies also, So you have to make a licensing with those agencies, and you have to ask the students to apply for those scholarships, and student can get those scholarships besides various government scholarships. These are the various quality initiatives which we took after second cycle of accreditation. There were marked improvements in the college in the form of various audits, whether it is green audit, energy audit, gender audit, ISO certification. The whole institution is on rooftop solar grid panel, 150 kilowatt solar power there in our institute. We have language lab, retail lab, commerce lab, math labs. These are the whole campus is on CCTV surveillance, of course. And these days it's very important. So these are the various initiatives which we took after our second cycle. IQAC, it has to be very, very proactive, and the meetings has to be very, very systematic, and the record has to be kept in a very, very systematic manner. And IQAC should make out strategies. I always say that IQAC is not the implementing agency, because how can IQAC implement? There are various members which are from outside. They can discuss, they can deliberate, they can come out with new ideas, new strategies, but ultimately all these things have to be implemented by the principal through its team. And some of the examples which we could do: human resource development, several seminars, workshops, publications, mentor-mentee system, this is very important. Gender equity, this is very, very important. And in our college, we have made an MOU with Haryana Kickboxing Association, and we run a certificate course in physical fitness, empowerment and development of self-defense skills for the girls, and the girls have done exceptionally well in this. Best practices in relation to my college, particularly energy environment consciousness, carbon neutrality initiatives. Second cycle, energy environment consciousness. We have N computing in all our labs. In our college, we have around 700 computers, and in all labs, we have N computing. And this is a very good technology in which no CPU is required. There is one device which is put at the back of the monitor, and there is it is very, very less energy consumed. These are the initiatives which we took. We also observe no vehicle day. Every first month, Monday of the month, the vehicles are not allowed in the campus. Everybody comes by its own way, but vehicles are not allowed in the campus. Second is the character building and personality development, celebration of birth anniversaries and great personalities of India, important days, seminars and workshops, MOUs with Shiksha Sanskriti Utthan Nyas, New Delhi, personality development and character building. There is a course in which all the students are enrolled. There is prescribed curriculum for that, syllabus for that, and we teach the students, we assess them, and we give them a certificate. And this has helped them in developing physically, mentally, and intellectually, and sound knowledge and skill and deep societal concern. And it aims at creating an environment that sensitizes and helps in developing professionally sound students with patriotic feelings, respect for the profession's social and ethical values. This is a unique thing in our institution. Earlier, this question was performance of the institution in one area distinctive to its vision, priority, and thrust. Now they have changed the language of the question, but in consonance with the vision, mission, priority, and thrust and PM skill development mission, our college took up additional skill acquisition program, ASAP, to equip the students with good communication and life skills and the basics of IT, so as to provide them the scope for self-employment and holistic development. And we run 6 add-on courses prescribed by UGC, 30 certificate courses, 5 diploma courses, and 3 advanced diploma courses. And I'm happy to share with you that 100% of our students, if there are 5,000 students, all the 5,000 students, they are enrolled in one or the other certificate, diploma, or advanced diploma course. And these courses are with transferable skills. In the first year, all the students are enrolled in the certificate course. In the second year, they are enrolled in the diploma course. And in the third year, they are enrolled in the advanced diploma course, so that when they graduate from our institution, then they have additional certificates apart from their UG degree. And I personally feel, and I have seen, that it has significantly increased the employability skill and employability possibility of our students. Some of them are very good placed. Some of them have started their own business. Some of them have joined their parental business. But definitely, these additional skill acquisition program has sharpened the skill of our students. Friends, our ultimate purpose is raising the bar of the institutions lacking in quality, and it is the need of the hour also. And how wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. But friends, it is more important to move in the right direction at the right time rather than just at the right speed. There are hundreds of many other variations in best practices with innovative ideas that can be adopted and are being practiced by many higher education institutions. There is no end to good things, and there is no fixed time to start a good practice. Think, develop, adopt, and sustain the best practices silently so that the success and outcome speak and roar very loudly. The more you learn, the more you come to know about your ignorance. I personally feel that life is not about the steps you have taken, but the footprints you have left behind. स्वामी विवेकानंद जी ने कहा था, इस पर हम सबको विश्वास करना चाहिए और इस पे चलना चाहिए. उठो, जागो और लक्ष्य प्राप्ति तक रुको मत. We do celebrate our achievements, but never let them sink us in the pool of complacency, and one should not. And we follow the principle of Charaiveti, because someone has rightly said that Parismayan hi siddhanti karyani na manorathi, nahi suptasya singhasya mukhe prushanti mriga. Keep on going with dedication, devotion, faith, and success is bound to occur. This is what I wanted to share with you. Thank you for listening me patiently. Thank you.
There are questions from the audience side. I would like to say, Inderpreet sir.
Yes, ma'am. That was a very enlightening session by KK Gupta sir. Thank you very much. And so, on behalf of the participant, I would like to ask you some questions.
हाँ बताइए.
2-3 faculty, 2-3 participants that they asked in criteria 1, the feedback mechanism mentions that feedback from employers is also needed. So they were asking the question that what do you mean by employers? Are they teachers? Are they other than teachers? Are they head of the organizations? So can you please elaborate on this?
When you talk of excellence, then you have to take all the stakeholders into confidence, because you want your students to be placed in an industry, and industry has its own requirement. So if you take feedback from the employers also at the very onset of the, because you know almost employers are more or less 50 to 60%. I have personally observed that the same companies are coming and they are taking up your students. Maybe 40 to 50% are new companies, but at least if you take the feedback from them, then you can come to know their expectations. What are their expectations from your students? What are the skills they require from your students, so that you can create the right kind of thing in your institution, and the chances of placement of your students are increased.
Okay, sir. Thank you. And there's one more question that they asked that whether all the affiliated colleges, including non-government aided colleges, are required to be aggregated by NAAC within stipulated time. If due to lack of criteria, can any college avoid to be aggregated for certain years intentionally?
No. You should go through the quality mandate given by the UGC, and they have clearly mentioned that by 2022, every higher educational institution has to be accredited, has to come for accreditation 2022, and they have mentioned the score also, minimum 2.5.
And one last question asked by one more participant, that in one slide you mentioned that there are burden on students, but they said that there are burdens on faculties as well in regarding of chasing the students in terms of assignments, in terms of internal examinations. So what is your view on this?
That is part of the profession. If a teacher will take it as a burden, I'm sure I am not very tough if I say that if a teacher consider it as a burden to change a student, then he should opt for some other profession. When we can take all type of burden when it comes to our own sons and daughters, then what is wrong in taking burden in changing our students?
Yes.
If we have the same feeling in our class that we are teaching these students as if they are our sons and daughters, such type of feeling will not come in our mind.
Main thing, sir, I would like to know the ISO 9001-2015, which you are talking about over there in your syllabus, in your college, and 14,001 and 15. some of the institutions, they are having a proper manuals. When I look on for ISO system, there has to be manuals. There is objectively written down on that. So all those manuals, how you are going to execute the things, will be there on rocks as far as the ISO manuals are concerned in any of the organization, or this is a certification which put it over there that we are recognized and ISO certified. There's no manual or nothing would be there. Two things operates over there. I'm bit puzzled on those counts.
That depends on your thought process. It varies from individual to individual. If you say that I have to go for certification just for a certificate, then you cannot expect quality and excellence in your institution. Because every certification is for a purpose.
Okay.
And when you have a thought of this type, purpose is defeated. So ISO certification, it indicates that there are certain well-structured mechanism, manuals and processes in your institution.
Right.
So the company which is coming for certification, they will altogether go through your processes. They will ask you to develop all those processes. If you will develop it, fine. I know that they will give you the certification, even if you not develop all those processes.
Yeah.
But again, the onus is on your shoulders.
You have mentioned that last 5 years, your college has made 36 conferences, right? So if I take it back on an average, so it will come out to be very large, and that means minimum 5 to 6 conferences, 7 conferences you are conducting every year.
Yes,
on
it's
various
very
aspects.
yeah.
Yes.
What it's not difficult. What I do when session starts in the month of July, I just bring out a circular that every department will organize one conference. There are 16 departments.
Okay.
16 departments apply to various government agencies. 5 or 6 get the grants. We organize the conference.
Minimum how much the institute should conduct if we are running 4 programs?
There is no limit.
There's no limit.
No minimum, no maximum. It depends on the individual, the principal and the team.
We of late we are having one academic audit, which academic audit talks about 5 different aspects of the co-curricular activities. The curriculum, the syllabus part is one. There are co-curricular activities like conferences, seminar, FDP, MDPs, and the workshops to be conducted, and special skill sets are required to be conducted. Now these things, which as far as the academic audit is concerned, they say it 1 to be conducted. Now, as far as the next perspective is concerned, how much should be minimum in all these areas we have to conduct, or ideally should conduct as far as an ACT team is concerned? I am very, very specific to you because lot many things is to be worked on with those parts.
Try to do the maximum because you have nothing to lose. You will gain because they have to take the average. Ultimately, they have to take the average.
Okay.
So sometimes the situation warrants that you cannot organize many activities. Sometimes it happens like this year. So keep on organizing maximum number of events, whether they are the academic events, whether they are the co-curricular, extracurricular, sports. Try to organize as many as you can.
Sir, now as a problem with me as a director of the institute, we are having 4 different programs. We are operating in 2 shifts. Now, say for example, the syllabus credits. Let's say assume the BGMC department, Journalism and Mass Communication department. That's about 14-hour input in a week's time. 40-hour input in a week time. I will put it across for the 6 days. It comes out to will start from 8 o'clock up to evening, 10 hours juggling session. Then also I am failing by 20 hours in a week because I cannot accommodate more than 60 hours in a week. 30 and 30. First shift 30, second shift 30, 60 hours. But they are expecting that 80 hours. Now this is the time constraint we have, number 1. Number 2, lot many things has been put on by the Ministry of HRD and extension activities. Lot many things have been put in over there by the co-curricular activities and the extension activities. So when we all club together, in all 337 different events we have conducted in a year. So they are saying, "Aap padhate ho ya events hi karate rehte ho." This is the sarcastic comments which comes out. Ultimately, we have got the A, no doubt. Somewhere or the other, I found it very difficult to answer. We are conducting events or we are conducting academics. it's for me, for a director, it's become very cumbersome to ask or answer these kind of queries.
And we have developed this habit over the years, 40, 50, 60 years, because we had been teaching only, doing nothing else, only teaching.
Okay.
Now the scenario is changing, things are changing, expectations are changing. We cannot do everything within a stay of 5.5 hours in the college.
Right, sir.
Somebody asked me, I joined this college in 2009. Somebody asked me कि आपका प्रिंसिपल का एक्सपीरियंस कितना है, तो मैंने कहा 20 साल. कहता है आपको ज्वाइन किए तो 10 साल हुए. तो मैंने कहा I work for 18 hours. So whenever you work, you learn.
Okay.
So it depends. How much time do you put in? आप 9 बजे आते हैं और 2:30 बजे चल देते हैं, और फिर हम बात करें कि भी हम एक्स्ट्रा करिकुलर एक्टिविटीज और को करिकुलर एक्टिविटीज कहाँ से कर लेंगे, तो वो तो फिर बैठना पड़ेगा ना 8 से 5 बजे तक. लेकिन मैंने कहा ना कि सेंस ऑफ बिलोंगिंगनेस, जब तक एज ए डायरेक्टर, एज ए मैनेजमेंट आप टीचर्स को कॉन्फिडेंस में लेकर के ये नहीं बताएंगे कि ये संस्थान आपका है, दिस इंस्टीट्यूशन बिलोंग्स टू यू, दिस स्टूडेंट्स बिलोंग टू यू, they will not take any interest except teaching their classes. Once you succeed in motivating them, in orienting them, that some sense of belongingness is there, they will work for hours together. And my teachers have been doing this in Agrawal College, Vallabhgarh.
One of the slide you have narrated that the teacher should have different kind of bait for different kind of fishes. You have shown one fish kind of thing, then how you can lure the student in the class. Sometimes we feel it.
No, you know na, slow learners and advanced learners.
Yeah.
आपको मैं एक कहानी बताता हूँ. वो कहानी है टेडी एंड थॉमसन. मिसेस थॉमसन एंड टेडी, दिस इज ए स्टोरी फ्रॉम यूके.
Okay.
आप वो कहानी पढ़िए तो एक तो जो भी इसको पढ़ता है वो रोए बिना नहीं रह सकता, और उसको ये पता चल जाता है व्हाट इज मेंटरिंग. योर स्मॉलेस्ट अटेंशन टू ए स्टूडेंट इन द क्लास can change the fate of a student.
Yes.
And your slightest negligence in the class, neglecting a student, can play havoc.
Yes.
So there is a story, Mrs. Thompson and Teddy. You please listen to that, and you will really come to know that what really mentoring is. And I would request you that you just find out certain these motivational stories, audio video presentations, and just show it to your teachers also. They will get oriented and motivated.
Every faculty member will be able to understand that when we are looking for a mentoring as a to the mentee, then we have to see that he is looking towards you with a one-stop solution for his all problems, be it social problem, be it personal problem, be it academic problem, be is some kind of inside psychological problem. All those things will be clubbed together and you have to solve those problems. And sometimes you are not exact counselor over there. You have to refer sometimes, because High Court has given decision, when you see a certain kind of abnormalities in the student, then you have to refer to the psychologist also sometimes to know that what is going behind the scene in the mind of the student, so that sensitize them not to go to take any harsh decision in the life. So we have to make them fighter.
Mentor is a friend, philosopher, guide. He is a torch bearer. Teacher cannot teacher cannot do mentoring in a way that there are 80 or 60 students in the class. But in mentoring, there is a small group of students. And in my college, what we have done, there is a compulsory mentoring period in the timetable.
Okay.
So it is very systematic. There is a compulsory library period in the timetable. Each student is going to the library. So when it is a part of the timetable, then things are streamlined in its own way.
Sir, have you incorporated the fitness club which is given by Ministry of HRD in the timetable also?
Yes.
Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat also?
Sab.
ABSB club. And so this is a pointer, Rashmi Gujarati madam and Dr. Deen M.N. Jha sir. We can take a cue from sir. What all the things we have to look on, these should be the integral part of the timetable, so that you can have a time slot to work upon on those counts, so that we can be able to get the right kind of dividend which we are looking forward. So, sir, very elaborative, very systematic, and one word I can say, marvelous and genius to you.
Thank you. So nice of you.
Thank you a lot. Rashmi madam, continue.
Thank you, sir. Very nice discussion. Very nice discussion. And thank you very much, sir, that you have accepted our invitation and given your precious time. And most important, that you have highlighted lot of things which are very clear. Not only you have cleared our NAC criteria, but also you have motivated us. And I think that my faculty members are also very motivated by your this points, that teacher who is going to teach the student, first they have to become ourselves, they have to become a learner. And I remember very well, I cannot forget that my guide was always saying me when I have started my career, my professor Dr. VP Kamlesh, he said me that when you are going to teach in the classroom, first you read properly, even you know everything, then also same thing. You have again given me a reminder, that word, that before entering into the classroom, be prepare yourself, so you should be able to answer the student very well. And yes, it's true that when we are able to answer very well to our student, that will be very effective to the student. So very well you have elaborated that first we have to gain our knowledge. Thank you very much, sir. You have guided lot of things, and I have seen and I have listened a lot of seminars, webinar, and very impressed by you. And hope so. If the world will be open, then we should. If there will be a conference going to be organized, then we will meet again in the February. But I hope so, because right now the corona has closed everywhere, and we all are inside the house. Thank you very much, sir.
This is one point has been there. When we talk of executive summary, sometimes SWOC has been there, the strengths, weakness, opportunities, and the challenges. The weakness part, sometimes weakness, how to express your weakness. Get you are weak in this area. Somebody is asking your your vulnerable points, and then they will try to hit upon those points.
No, they never hit. And I tell you that your strength comes from your weakness. Okay. Sometimes weakness becomes a challenge, and challenge becomes your strength. So unless you are able to identify your weaknesses, you cannot become strong.
Yes, I agree with your words, sir, because I have faced this thing that lot of time people hit us, and by that hit, we get a lot of positive vibes and we grow and grow. So I agree with these words that weakness give us more growth, and we grow and grow.
What is the purpose of the NAC when it asks for the SWOC, asking for the weaknesses? They want to see that what are the pitfalls you have, or they want us to fill up those gaps, or we identify our weakness or not. This is the basic purpose.
Ajayji, this is a comparative and progressive study.
Yeah.
Because every 5 years you have to go to NAC.
Yes.
5 years ago you identify certain weaknesses.
Yes.
You get a certain grade.
Okay.
After 5 years again you are going.
Sir, that weaknesses we have filled. Now after a certain time, our strength will become sometimes weaknesses in time to come.
That depends. That you have filled, you have completed, or you have tied over those weaknesses. That they people see, na. And there are two things. One is the weakness to be mentioned in the SSR. One is the weakness to be noted and acted upon.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Mentioning
Thank
the facts.
Very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for bringing me on this platform and interacting with this illuminated these participants from various colleges. Thank you.